Welcome back to another courageous conversation with Marlene and Sam. We are definitely going to be having a great conversation today about the soft skills that create leadership within your area of expertise and the contribution you're giving into the world. This is something that's top of mind for each of us because we have this ability to come in to different organizations and evaluate the soft skills of the people who are there, the common practices they're happening within the organization, and then from there suggest the next path forward. So Marlene, I would love to have you give a little background on how this relates to your career and your area of expertise.
Thank you, Sam. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having this topic because I was thinking about it. We just discussed a lot of like real financials or risk managers, real hardcore and just very essential processes within the organization. But it's like you already introduced, and I think it's important to mention that just having a look from your organizational point of view, your core values, and how the soft skills are reflected within the leadership, that is also equally as important to growing and just understanding what is happening within the organization. And it's just, I think for myself, it's very important as being a leader that people know what are my core values, what do I stand for, and just from there on, we're going to build on relationships. Those are the important elements. Having relationships, having this infrastructure that people feel safe, that people know that they can develop their talents and that they know that the different mindsets or different approaches are being celebrated within an environment that just contributes to that. And for also how innovation takes place, these are the elements that that are very important. Looking at your soft skills, what is the leadership that I would like to embrace? It's just something that really comes from your natural inclination. It's just not, obviously you need to learn certain skills to influence people or just to take them with you to a next level. But it also has to do with what and who am I, and just really starts to have a very good look at yourself and say, well, I think this is very important. And can you work with me with this? And can you bring me to a next level together in this environment that I'm creating?
Yeah, really, really powerful because when you really are introspective about what your personal strengths are, you understand how to work cross collaboratively with others, right? So a lot of organizations are leaning into the DISC assessment, for example, to understand what is your leadership style and how are you best communicated with, right? So there's different metrics and opportunities for us to either be introspective by ourselves or to leverage these third-party tools to understand who we are and how we can connect with our teams. And then the next layer on top of that, once you really understand who you are and your communication style, understanding how to leverage your strengths so that you are really leaning into those and perhaps outsourcing or delegating things that don't serve you, right? So much time is leveraged within organizations when people are doing tasks that do not sit within their zone of genius and area of expertise. So, how, with that evaluation and knowingness of your soft skills, can you reevaluate your team, your organization, and understand how to redistribute the different tasks that need to be taken care of?
It's beautiful said. It's just you mentioned the economy communication in this, which is communication is something very personal. It doesn't have to do with the skills that you have. It's just all how do I position myself? It's just how do I use my voice? How do I use my expressions? Do I talk loud with my hands or do I stand still? It's just the communication that you bring forward. And I think to me, I always come across quite reserved or quiet, but it really has to do with the intent and the voice that I'm using and just trying to talk with people, that they give them a comfort feeling that everything is okay and that I'm going to give them the environment or at least create an environment that we can grow together in this. So from a leadership point of view, communication is very important. Creating this culture, creating an infrastructure that you're giving back to your people that they feel comfortable with, or having a safe environment that they know that they have the capabilities in working so. So it's just soft skills within it. It's very beautiful because we all work with people. It's just coming from people, and outsourcing, like you mentioned, is very important because that really has to do how you know yourself, know what is your best, know what is your talent, know what you can do best, and if someone else does a better job at it, just please give that to them, because then you have this energy, this cohesion that you really working together and embracing the talent of the others, and just knowing that you have something that you can do better and just help each other in this, and reinforce each other's strength in this. So it's an internal aspect, really keeping very close to yourself every day. Just have a look at it. Just when you walk into the office, look around, feel, breathe. What is the energy? How do you, what is the intention for today? Apart from the agenda, but what is your attention? What is what we bring as a company to our customers? What is the value? How would we like to be perceived? And from there on, know what is your best capability, and the others are bringing from the others in a team, and building this beautiful culture around this.
Yeah, I think one of the greatest consultancy activities that I did for an organization, they were without a VP for over a year. And the executive director had kind of stepped into this place of having ownership of absolutely every decision made on her team of 10 people. And it just became this bottleneck when the new VP came in and I came in to onboard that VP, where we needed to dismantle the organization, as is something I talk about so often as one of my favorite things to do. And we needed to really lay out what activities were being done by every single person on the team and where they were being served and where it was outdated and where it needed to be reinvigorated or innovated. And so we sat in the boardroom for 2 days and we wrote with colorful sticky notes every single person's activity and the ownership of that activity as a final decision. And at first, that executive director had her sticky note over the entire process for product development. And by the end of that 2 days, we had redistributed into everybody's zone of genius the activities that were required to streamline this process. We removed bottlenecks, the greatest thing about it was we attached time to every single activity. How long does it take to do every single one of these activities? When there's bottlenecks all over the place because one person needs to make the ultimate decision, versus we had a plan to ensure that there was delegation in place and skill development to match everything that was required within that organization. And of course, then you go into the implementation phase, which takes months. But to be able to take the concerted effort to be together and do that was exponentially growth opportunity for the organization. To really look at the soft skills, look at the activities that are being done, and reevaluate the needs of the organization based on who's there. No team is ever fully staffed and with every capacity that it needs. That's the modern reality. But when we have our people, we need to make sure that we're filling every bit of the activity that's required within the team at their highest capacity. What are your thoughts in this?
It's so powerful that you mentioned it like this. It's actually the old-fashioned brown paper sessions that I really love. And it is just taking things from it's just, how do you call it? Just looking at and approaching it from a backward-looking engineering process. And I really love the power how you emphasize it. Just saying, well, I took just one role in this and just take it out all over the situation, and then from there on, I took out the elements and dripped it over within all the essentials and all the functionalities and all the person I'm working at. And from there on, and I really loved how you mentioned it. It is from there on you can just see what is everyone's individual talents and creating their zone of genius. So it's a very good approach. Just taking this from an overarching position, saying, well, this is actually what the executive is doing, everything from end to end in this. but what we can take out of it, and so that she can just really focus on what she's doing from her managerial, from her steering point of view, and taking our company to the next level, and how can we facilitate her in this process. So those are, I had the brown paper session that we know from the early days on, just taking just when you come in as a consultant, taking all the brown papers in. Nowadays everything is digital, but still those are very powerful sessions, because everyone see what is their capability, and just it's visible, and people really love seeing what actually they're doing, what is their contribution to the whole aspect in this.
Yeah, it was definitely a really powerful exercise for this team because, you know, in that first phase, we did not include the new VP. The VP sat in the room and simply watched. She was able then to see how her team had been working together, right? Any phenomenal leader will sit back and evaluate in the first few bits of coming into an organization. It is not a good leader's objective to come in and dismantle anything without doing a little bit of observing first. And so I found that really powerful because once we integrated her into the process and the team was able to see her leadership integrate in, it was a beautiful just visual for them to be able to see the impact of having a full team again, right? With everybody in their expertise and with the team firing on all cylinders. This is an exercise I recommend to any organization. Take one of your practices end to end and really look at it. You learn so much about the people on your team. You learn how, you know, sometimes your frontline workers are so bogged down with things that simply need a bit of technology added. And unless that executive takes time to really allow them to speak and to share openly what their challenges are, you may never find out that a simple technology addition could change the flow of your entire organization.
I think the power here is also coming in and observing. It's really, as I also discussed, and I described it in my ebook, it's all about your core competence, is staying and sticking with your core competence. So even though when you're in a position that you can change that, is that still within the core competence of your organization? And then you can see whether this fits your strategic goals or not. But you build it from a certain point of view, and you build the culture around it. So you need to focus on that, what is needed. And if it doesn't serve your customer, then it's definitely something that you really rapidly need to change, because that will not bring you the profits that you envision. But if it works from a process point of view, from a people point of view, from system point of view, then it's really something that you need to hold and need to treasure. And especially coming in, I always say this: if I come in as an expert, my first weeks are just observing people and taking their strength and see how the organization has been built, how history has been evolved, what is the history, why are certain decisions have been taken, and from there on we can build to something that is feasible, that is that people understand, and that people feel comfortable with.
Yeah, I just, it's beautiful how fast an organization can shift when they take the time for this simplistic exercise. It is not going to be labor intensive to do this. It's not going to take an extensive amount of time. You can really shift and alter the cohesion of your team and the communication style and the effortlessness of decision making in a very concerted amount of time. It is something that if you put it off and put it off and put it off, you can create this giant black hole that takes you forever to get out of. Once you draw the line in the sand and you make the harsh decision that you will integrate into these practices and understand the strengths of your team and really make the concerted effort to either train up or technology in, whatever you end up needing, that you honor it, right? Take the time to do this evaluative process and then honor what your team speaks up and tells you that it needs. If that means your division lead needs to go to the executive board and ask for funding, then do it, right? Write that internal business plan to get that case study in to make sure that you're funding what your team speaks up and tells you that it needs. Let's trust and honor our people in that. Let's make sure that, if you create a culture where your team feels empowered to tell you what's truly hindering their greatness, that you as the leader come in and ensure that they're supported and fixing that gap.
Yes, and also just creating this innovative culture that you're supporting with this. So there are little steps. Even it's beautiful seeing that if little steps are being taken, but just seeing and just stacking up, it could be just be this big innovation that the entire organization can profit from or can benefit from. So it is all about the openness. It's all about the communication. It's all about the transparency of what is happening, what you need from a certain point of view. So to me, I think for some just some reason why innovations are being blocked, or why people think that it should be a very big solution or something that probably is an investment of millions. It comes down, how are we capable in just with technology or with more or with insights, creating this small change within the process that just can help us and just ripple out over the entire organization. And that just comes from an environment that just helps and reinforce and embraces people thinking and people behavior like this, and just trusting them that this is something that they're created for the best of the organization and not for themselves. And obviously if it's for themselves, that is also that is their loyalty, that is their dedication for their work, because they understand best, because they're working day to day with the processes. So they will know better than you and I, coming from an overarching aspect, looking at this. If you're working with this and you see that there are improvements that you can immediately implement, those are the elements. You mentioned time. I think time is very important in this. The pace of decision making is just it's all about, is it rapidly, or is it just being slowed down because everyone needs to make a decision about this? It just is, it's not working. Is it not doing the motivation a good job? And it's taking out the pace of the decision, which is not good for responding to the market, but it's also not good for an internal reflection, because people will then feel that they're not be taken seriously with their suggestions and their motivation.
Yeah, that's a really, really powerful thing to highlight.
Dear everyone, as you can see, Sam unfortunately has some technical issues, so I'm going to wrap up this session. So thank you for joining our very important conversation about soft skills and focusing on leadership in this. So having your soft skills that just embrace and embody your leadership as taking that from your core. And that's very important. We discuss how to communicate about this, the transparency in this, how to focus on processes and just have technology and innovations taking out of this, what is important to build to a new journey with your organization, but together with the people, and focusing on your soft skills. So I would like to thank you for your attention and would love you to join us next week. Thank you.